A question that I get a lot is, with using Inertia on the front end of a Laravel project, how can you set it up so that you can have Inertia have two sort of different entry points? So for example, one for admin, one for users, but still using the Inertia pages in order to do that. And even though I've done it in a couple of other series that I did, I feel like it might be time to have one video that's just handling all of that. This way you can refer back to this one in order to set it up without having to watch a whole series to find it. Now, if you go to the Inertia documentation and you head over to server side, from server side, you go to root template. This is where this documentation is for the root template. I've also gone and taken a look at the GitHub repo for Inertia and just watched some of the discussions involving this where people were trying to do different combinations of things. It just seems like they've kind of overcomplicated it. We're going to simplify that in a way that I do it and that works for me. Inertia has it set up so that the root template of any project that you're building, whether it's with React or Vue or what have you, if you're dealing with a JavaScript front end and you're using Inertia, it assumes that the app.blade.php is the root of the project. Everything that's put together involving that uses the app as its root template. Instead of changing that from being the case, we are going to add an additional one and have two root templates, and we're going to be able to call that other template whenever we need it. And once you link up the pages, then you can go back and forth to either a React front end for users. From there, you can go to a React front end for admins. This is how we're going to set it up using this idea here. Now, the only thing that I've gone ahead and done is whipped up a Laravel project. This is React on the front end. That's all that I have right now. I don't have any other routes or any other things set up. It's very vanilla in that way. If we go to the project and we go to the resources, views, app.blade.php, you can see here that this is where everything is connecting to. So the Inertia part is here, where you can get the headers that are coming from those Inertia pages, as well as the Vite setup so that it can compile and display it on the front end using Vite. So you have a resources.js app.tsx, and that's coming from that file. We'll take a look in a minute, but it's also pulling in the components from that JS pages folder, the .tsx files. As I said, you can see here, this is the Inertia head, and this is where the Inertia is being displayed. Now, if we go over to the JavaScript app.tsx, you can see this is where the create Inertia app is being built. It is relying on the app.blade.php, and everything that's pulled in from the backend is what's rendering through here. Now, with that, we can create our own files to be able to do that. So let's start with the app.blade.php. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this one and I'm going to call it admin.blade.php. Now, all of this stuff can really pretty much stay the same. The only thing that I am going to change is that instead of compiling the JS app.tsx, I'm going to create a admin.tsx so that it can use that. And so now we'll create that file, and that will also be compiled along with the app.js stuff that's on the other side of it for the regular app stuff. So we're going to come up here and I'm going to copy this one and I'm going to call it admin.tsx. Everything is pretty much the same. If you wanted to create a different admin.css, you can import it up here instead of this one. But really, the CSS is going to be the same because everything is using Tailwind along with Vite. Everything can pretty much stay the same in here. We don't have to change anything, but we are going to be using this one to pull in any information because we don't want it to conflict with anything on the app.tsx. This way, anything that we do want to change in the app.tsx for the users on the front end won't be affected by this unless we want to update it with some similar things. So this is done. Let's go ahead and go to the Vite config. And we will also include that in the input up here. So I'm going to just open this up just to make it a little bit cleaner. And I'm going to include the admin.tsx so that can be compiled as well. So I'm going to save all of that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create another page because right now we have a welcome page. This is something that we can sort of leverage as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do the route first. And I'll add it here. We don't need all of that. We'll just say admin and leave it at that. We don't have a controller or anything for this because this is a really simple example. So we'll just say function, turn, inertia, render, and the view, we'll just call it admin. We'll even give it a name. We'll call it admin. And I actually want to put that at the end of this. Before we go anywhere else, this route here, the root for it is admin. But for us, we've just created a new root template for it. So we need to tell Inertia that the root template that we want to use is root view, and we are going to call it admin. Go ahead and save that. Now, the other part of this is too, which I didn't show you and I'll show you now, is if we go up to app, HTTP middleware, the handle inertia request is where you would change it. If you just wanted to change it out of app altogether and you didn't want to use app, you just wanted to use, let's say, admin, then you can change it globally here. But because we want to use them in conjunction with each other, we are going to not do this and just do it on these specific routes. If we had a controller, then this root view, this whole line would be in that controller, saying that we want the root view to be used for this controller to view this page. So now we can go over here and we can create our page. And I will just say, what can I do? We'll say admin. And I'll just open this up and I'll say, hi from admin. And what I'll do also is I'll add a root. I'll do a link. Let me import that from Inertia React. We'll say to welcome. And then we'll add the route. I think I can just use that. This is Wayfinder. I'm not going to go into a whole thing on that, but it already imported up top here. So we can do admin with parentheses around the end of it, and that will link us to the admin page. Let's go over here and we'll also create a route here so that we can go back and forth to it. We'll just say to admin, and then we'll have the route for it. And I think I messed that up. Okay, so we have that up there, admin, and this is actually going to be to home because that's the name of the route there. So we can get rid of this. So let's go check the browser and see what we have now. I'm going to go ahead and refresh it. As you can see, now we have a link to the admin. We can click that, and then we can go to the admin, and then we can click welcome and go back and forth without any error. Let's just check our DevTools just to make sure that we're not getting any errors in here. To admin, to welcome. So far, this has worked for me. I haven't really had any issues to speak of with this. And the reason that I like doing it this way too is because you can also have the benefit of maybe using Vue on one side and React on the other, or however you want to do it. But not only that, you can also change up what kind of styling you have for those pages. So if you just want Tailwind to be, let's say, on your user front end, and let's say you want Bootstrap to be in your admin panel, then this allows you to just separate that without conflicting between the both of them, because especially between Bootstrap and Tailwind, there's some crossover stylings and stuff that you might have in one or the other. So this is a good way to kind of keep everything separate so that you can work on it individually and not have any crossover. If you're enjoying the content, please go ahead and click that like button, as it really does help out the channel. Here's a video YouTube thinks you'll like, and here's a playlist to follow along. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.